and the clouds are just out of reach. This is the place where the strength. Mankind has been drawn to the power of the mountains. The mountainous regions, and it represents stability and balance to all. But also exploration connects the present to the not so distant past. A more starts to take over. That part of us, it encourages us, it beckons us to explore.
We've made it to the big city. Here, there are thousands, even millions of people create and build and work and dream. There is always the reassuring sound of conversation, movement of people, and buzz of vibrant life happening around you. Whether it's morning walks to your favorite coffee shop, pulling with friends to a local restaurant, there is always something to do. Everything is beautifully unfinished, as seen by construction all around. The shimmering skyscrapers show us the sky of possibility is limitless. And here, you feel small, but a part of something so much bigger. We learn from the urban landscape. We are creators, builders, and dreamers.
On the plains, there's a form of beauty all its own. A place many choose to overlook, but that is always in the conversation. Sometimes we're referred to as flyover states, Tornado Alley, or the Great American Desert. Our skyscrapers are grain elevators holding the fruits of our labor. A land that is as expansive as it is rugged, with the people who match the scenery. We experience the best and worst of Mother Nature and persevere with an unconquerable spirit that rides the winds from the Dakotas down to Texas. With such a rich history and so few people occupying our many small towns, we've learned to be proud of our history and apply the lessons learned in preparation for an even brighter future. The plains demonstrate how to take pride in our past and be connected with our roots.
The desert greets us with barren land and blue skies. The days are filled with constant hot sunlight, and the nights bring chilled air and abundant bright stars. Very little rain results in few species having the ability to sustain life. The cacti, reptiles, and other animals and plants which live here are ones which carry the strength and hardiness to sustain life in the harsh conditions. They learn to thrive using little water, storing the scarce resources they have to create life in the dry landscape. The desert teaches us to make the most of what we have, to create beauty and purpose in the world.
Finally, we get to a place that is familiar, a place where 57% of America currently resides, suburbia. The houses are nearly identical and have mere space between them. The sidewalks seem endless and connect like a maze. But there is more than just what meets the eye. There is the house with the front porch swing and the neighbor who makes the best cookies every holiday. We hear the hustle and bustle of life, parents traveling to work and children preparing for their Little League games. Through the seasons, we hear the splashing of a pool on a warm summer day and the shoveling of snow in the cold winter months. We are reminded of a place that is familiar, a place that is safe, and a place we are known. From suburbia, we learn the sense of community and how it connects us all.
There is beauty in the world around us, but there is also a lot we don't see until we take a closer look.
Behind the beauty of the crashing waves
and the cascading mountains lies a challenge that threatens our world.
environmental sustainability. Our ocean levels are rising.
Our mountains are eroding.
But it doesn't stop there. No matter where we live,
What geography we see.
we find our environment threatened by human interactions and natural disasters.
According to the USDA, over 80% of all productive agricultural lands have been affected by a decade of drought.
Yet following this drought, immense flooding has taken out farmland nationwide and put over 200 million lives at risk.
We have to be better stewards of the land,
To protect, promote, and preserve our planet.
from every mountaintop to valley below.
From coast to coast, it's on each one of us.
We need to consistently invest in our environment in order to ensure the exploration of future generations.
Hidden among the urban skyscrapers,
In arid landscapes are people in need.
3 billion people around the world live in poverty, surviving on less than $5 a day. And defining poverty is not easy. Poverty is more than just lacking the essentials to survive. Poverty is the lack of freedom to do what one values.
In the United States alone, the USDA reports 1 in 8 citizens being food insecure. This means that statistically, out of the 70,000 FFA members and guests who attend this convention, over 8,000 could be experiencing the challenge of keeping food on the table. These problems are closer to home than we realize.
On any given night, according to the US Department of Housing and Urban Development, 17% of people go homeless.
Homelessness, food insecurity, and the accessibility of education are challenges which people in poverty face every day. These struggles come in many forms.
But they are present in all corners of our country and our world. This means that no matter where we come from, we have a role to play in solving these challenges. We are the creators who will use what we have to build a better solution that addresses worldwide poverty.
Within the comfort of our homes and pride of the plains, there are people who need help but choose to remain silent.
In a world where depression, anxiety, and other mental illnesses are going left untreated, people are turning to addiction, abuse, and other harmful outlets just to try and cope.
Comfort and pride can keep those who we love and care about from speaking out when they need help most.
The CDC states that the male farmer suicide rate is 1.5 times higher than the national average.
U.S. farmer suicides echo a much larger global issue.
In Australia, a farmer commits suicide every 4 days.
In the UK, one farmer a week takes their own life.
In France, every 2 days, a farmer commits suicide. This issue is global, but conquering it starts local.
We must look within our own communities, recognize we are not alone, nor should we be unwilling to ask for help.
These issues exist. There are those in our lives who battle some of these struggles every day. These struggles are global. Thus, the values we use to combat them should also be global.
In order to change the world, we must first change a world. Maybe that's our communities back home. We might think that our impact doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but look around. There are 700,000 FFA members who wear this blue jacket across the country and countless like-minded individuals around the globe. Imagine the impact we could make if we use what we learn from the world around us.
That our consistent investment makes a difference in our world.
That exploration can help us discover more.
That we will design a better world and create the future we dream of.
Now, we should be proud of where we come from and connected to our roots.
That when we make the most of what we have, we create beauty and purpose in the world.
That our community reminds us we are never alone.
Right here, right now. Look around. Our world right now is Indianapolis, Indiana. Here at the 92nd National FFA Convention and Expo, we have endless opportunity.
The opportunity to learn skills, spark ideas, and create relationships will have an impact on issues affecting each of our worlds. We have the opportunity to start here, to make a difference which will have a rippling effect across our nation and into our home communities.
Impact starts here.
Impact starts now.
Change your world.
Change our world.
FFA members and guests, get on your feet and make some noise to welcome your 2018-2019 National FFA Officer Team. Your Eastern Region Vice President from Michigan, Adrian Shaw. Your Central Region Vice President from Oklahoma, Rich Eubanks. Your Southern Region Vice President from Alabama, Jordan Stowe. Your Western Region Vice President from Oregon, Shea Booster. Your National FFA Secretary from Louisiana, Lady LeBlanc. And your National FFA President from California, Luke O'Leary.
Come together right now over me. He roller coaster, he got early warning, he got muddy water, he won mojo filter, he said 1 and 1 and 1 is 3. Got to be good looking 'cause he's so hard to see. Come together right now over me.
The convention hall will come to order. We are now holding the first general session of the 92nd National FFA Convention and Expo. Mr. Vice President, are all officers at their stations?
I shall call the roll of officers, determine if they're at their stations, and report back to you, Mr. President. The Sentinel,
Stationed by the door.
your duty's there.
Through this door pass many friends of the FFA. It is my duty to see that the door is open to our friends at all times and that they are welcome. I care for the meeting room and paraphernalia. I strive to keep the room comfortable and assist the president in maintaining order.
The Reporter.
The reporter is stationed by the flag.
Why by the flag?
As the flag covers the United States of America, so I strive to inform the people, in order that every man, woman, and child may know that the FFA is a national organization that reaches from the state of Alaska to the Virgin Islands and from the state of Maine to Hawaii.
The Treasurer.
Stationed at the emblem of Washington,
Your duty's there.
I keep a record of receipts and disbursements just as Washington kept his farm accounts, carefully and accurately. I encourage thrift among the members and strive to build up our financial standing through savings and investments. George Washington was better able to serve his country because he was financially independent.
The Secretary.
Stationed by the ear of corn.
Your duty's there.
I keep an accurate record of all meetings and correspond with other secretaries wherever corn is grown and FFA members meet.
The Advisor.
Here by the owl.
Why stationed by the owl?
The owl is a time-honored emblem of knowledge and wisdom. Being older than the rest of you, I'm asked to advise you from time to time as the need arises. I hope that my advice will always be based on true knowledge and ripened with wisdom. Mr. Vice President, why do you keep a plow at your station?
The plow is the symbol of labor and tillage of the soil. Without labor, neither knowledge nor wisdom can accomplish much. My duties require me to assist at all times in directing the work of our organization. I preside over meetings in the absence of our president, whose place is beneath the rising sun.
Why is the president so stationed?
The rising sun is a token of a new era in agriculture. If we will follow the leadership of our president, we shall be led out of the darkness of selfishness and into the glorious sunlight of brotherhood and cooperation. Mr. President, all officers are at their stations.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. The Secretary will call the roll of members.
There are 65,208 members and guests registered, Mr. President.
Thank you. FFA members, why are we here? To practice brotherhood, honor agricultural opportunities and responsibilities, and develop those qualities of leadership which an FFA member should possess. May we accomplish our purposes. I now declare this first session of the 92nd National FFA Convention and Expo duly opened for the transaction of business or attention to any matters which may properly be presented. Growing up, my family took a lot of road trips. For hours, myself and my 3 siblings would be crammed in a Suburban, driving to reach our final destination. My favorite annual road trip was when our family traveled to my grandparents' house at Lake Almanor for every 4th of July. It was such a special time to spend celebrating 4th of July with my family members. Every day, we would spend hours boating on the lake, then spend all the evenings sitting around the campfire roasting marshmallows. And of course, on the night of the 4th of July, we would watch a fireworks show above the lake. This year, due to traveling as a national officer, unfortunately, our team didn't get to spend the 4th of July celebrating with our family. But it was just as special. I got to spend the week of the 4th of July with members of the Kentucky FFA Leadership Camp. There, we climbed the big tree, played volleyball every single day, and tackled the high ropes course. It was such a good reminder that celebrating the birth of our country is so special across the 50 United States of America. While we focus our celebration and appreciation of our country on one particular day in July, we should remember that every day is worth recognizing the amazing country that we have the privilege of living in. Today, we have some Color Guard members to help us in that appreciation. Please join me in welcoming our Color Guard Commander, Sergeant Major Destiny Wheeler, carrying the American flag, Major Daniel Gieslin, carrying the state flag, Second Lieutenant Madison Frazier, carrying the lead rifle, Second Lieutenant Christina Walton, the trail rifle, Private Alea Lee, and cadre, Retired Master Sergeant John Boone from the T.C. Howe High School. Please rise as they present the colors of the United States of America.
You may be seated. Our first session chair is quite the combination of things. He's extremely humorous but serious, beyond belief. He's only 21 years old, but he's probably got more in common with my grandfather than he does with me. He's all for advancing the world, but still carries his pocket calendar with him at all times. He's a true Oklahoma cowboy with a CrossFit membership. Ladies and gentlemen, our Session 1 chair, our CrossFit cowboy, and the Central Region National Vice President, Mr. Ridge Eubanks.
Like a rhinestone cowboy, riding out on a horse in a star-spangled rodeo. Like a rhinestone cowboy, getting cards and letters from
FFA members and guests, welcome to the FFA Experience of the Year. It is my distinct honor and privilege to officially welcome you to the opening session of the 92nd National FFA Convention and Expo. Now, as you look around, you may notice convention looks a little different this year. There's so much room for activities. Well, rest assured, throughout the course of this week, we're going to be putting this stadium to good use. But I got to ask, who in here is excited to be a part of the first ever national convention with all sessions being here in Lucas Oil Stadium? Well, I can assure you, the feeling is very mutual. Now, stadiums are kind of a crazy concept. You know, in theory, they seem pretty simple. A bunch of people getting together to watch an event. But in reality, they're pretty complex. I mean, think of everything going on behind the scenes to help make this event possible. As in life, there's a lot of things that seem simple that turn out to be pretty complex. Some of those things are a Rubik's Cube, relationships, where our food comes from. Another one of those things for me is art. Yeah, art. Something so simple in name, yet so complex in reality. I mean, it can be performed through dance, on canvas, out of clay, you name it. But one thing's for sure, there's a lot more to art than what's in the name. As you look around the stadium right now, you're gonna see the silhouettes of thousands of people. What's so nifty about that is the fact that every person that you see, they see the beauty and the value in FFA and ag education. You, in all of your uniqueness, are one daub of paint on the master canvas that stretches out over Indianapolis during this convention. You are a single note in the grand symphony of FFA ringing throughout our nation. You are a single stitch in the FFA jacket that encompasses our nation from Alaska to the Virgin Islands and every place in between. During this session, we are going to be examining the beauty in the art that we create in FFA. Also, dedicated stakeholders in our organization and host state are going to welcome us to Indianapolis. Our state flags will make the stadium come alive, and two groups of highly talented individuals will unite to bring us incredible music throughout the week. And finally, we will wrap up this session by hearing from our keynote speaker. In show business, they may tell us to break a leg. Those of us who are a little more direct might just say, Ridge, let's just start convention. You know what? I agree. FFA members and guests, we sold you the whole seat, but you're only gonna need the edge. It's go time, my friends. So what do you say we get this show on the road?
Actions speak louder than words, and together we can change the world. We are the FFA.
Now, who in here thinks they know good art when they see it? Okay, well, who in here is opinionated? Yeah, me too. So let's put that to good use by playing a little game I like to call art or not art. What's gonna happen is you're gonna see an image on the screen. If you think it's art, I need you to ooh and ah while you take in its beauty. If you don't think it's art, I need you to give me your best art critic glare until you see real art. Turn to the person next to you and show them your art critic glare. Very good. Now throw those glares to the screen as we see Exhibit A. Ooh. What about Exhibit B? I know you're not ready for Exhibit C. All right, so some of us may have been a little more passionate about some of those works of art than others. Well, same goes with convention. But fortunately, I think I know one piece of art that all of us can get behind. It's time for the introduction of our state flags. So let's leave the oohs and ahs at home, and let's bring the rowdy for our states as we welcome our state flags.
Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Puerto Rico, Rhode Island, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Vermont, Virgin Islands, Virginia, Washington, West Virginia, Wisconsin, Wyoming, the National FFA Organization, and the United States of America.
Our next stop on the art train involves a whole lot of jump, jabbing, and wailing. Sometimes you hear a song that just really makes you want to bust a move. For those of us who can appreciate good music and really have to seize the moment, I want to see your best dance move. So think to yourself, what is my go-to dance move? Have you got it? DJ, spin that track. I want to see how FFA breaks it down.
Wow, I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't. I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't. So good, so good. I got you. Wow, I feel nice. That sugar and spice.
Okay. I can honestly say I'm impressed. Even with the flossing I saw going on right over here, that was pretty good. Now, while we may consider ourselves pretty good at the art of dance, there's one individual who's been a partner in our tango of progress for many years. Ladies and gentlemen, please turn your attention to the screens as we hear our national advisors welcome from our very own Dr. Steve Brown.
Hello, FFA members, advisors, and guests. On behalf of the National FFA Organization and the National FFA Board of Directors, I welcome you to the 92nd National FFA Convention and Expo. You know, for 92 years, FFA members from all across our great nation have been gathering just like this. It is remarkable, quite remarkable, to think about how far this organization has come. We started with 33 farm boys at a hotel in Kansas City, Missouri, back in 1928, and now we're filling up an NFL stadium. But you know what? The incredible growth of FFA is not surprising. That's because the idea and purposes of this organization are noble, relevant, and focused on the future. We're growing because of FFA members like you who see the broad opportunities in agriculture and its importance to the future of our planet. We're growing because agriculture educators everywhere are going to bat for our incredible three-component education model. Our classrooms incorporates science, technology, engineering, math, communication arts, and employability skills. For that, agriculture educators everywhere deserve all of our praise. We're growing because of the efforts of our agriculture education-related organizations that make up the National Council for Agricultural Education. I encourage all of our leaders of these groups to keep thinking ahead, plan for the future, and dream big. These efforts have led to an FFA that has never been bigger. We have a record 700,000 FFA members in all 50 states, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. And this year, we celebrate 50 years of female membership in our organization, a change that was too long in the making, but one that has benefited all of us in so many ways. The capability to embrace and encourage positive change is a crucial skill for so many FFA activities. I'm proud to say that over the past year, our organization has done just that. You can see that in our new convention venue here at Lucas Oil Stadium. You can see it in the updated FFA Congressional Charter, and you can see it in the deliberations and discussion that the student delegates to this convention have had about the National FFA Constitution and bylaws. We should be proud of these efforts because progress and change today is history in the making tomorrow. Change is also on the horizon for me as your National FFA advisor. For nearly 50 years, FFA has influenced me as a member, agriculture teacher, chapter advisor, state leader, and for the last 9 years as your National FFA advisor and board chair. I've long told others, for me, this experience has offered uncommon responsibilities for a common man. I'm incredibly honored and proud to have been stationed by the OWL on behalf of FFA members everywhere. Of course, as the advisor, I'm asked to advise you from time to time as the need arises. Before we continue with this wonderful national convention, let me leave you with these two common sense words of wisdom. First, walk with the wise to become wise. FFA members, identify the leaders around you, study their habits, work to develop those positive traits within yourself. Second, dare to be bold. You can run for chapter office, work to solve a problem in your community, or work to find a new skill that you never knew you had. Do something bold that will improve the world for you and someone else. FFA members, it has been my pleasure to serve as your National FFA advisor. Now let's have a wonderful, outstanding 92nd National FFA Convention and Expo.
If you happen to see Dr. Brown throughout the course of the week, make sure to stop him and thank him for his incredible career and legacy while leading our organization and seeking to strengthen agricultural education. Let's get one more round of applause for Dr. Steve Brown. Now on to a subject near and dear to many of our hearts, sports. Would you believe me if I told you that playing a sport and playing it well is an art form? Well, it's true. Although some people take it a step further, like Troy Bolton from High School Musical.
You gotta get your head in the game. You gotta get ahead of the game. You gotta get your head in the game. You gotta get ahead of the game. Come on, get your head in the game. We gotta get ahead of the game. You gotta get your head in the game. We gotta get ahead of the game. Woo!
Well, our next speaker certainly knows and understands the art form that is a well-choreographed team. Along with serving as the governor of Indiana, he can be found cheering on organizations like FFA, ensuring all of our needs are met during our time here in Indianapolis. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the stage the 51st governor of the state of Indiana, Eric Holcomb.
Thank you. Thank you, Rich. Ridge, you are dancing like nobody's watching, and there are thousands and thousands doing just that. Welcome and welcome back to Indianapolis. This has got to be the coolest convention that we host all year long. Move over Gen Con. This is one of the most exciting times of the year, one of my most favorite, not just because we're hosting you, and we just love to see the 65,000 Blue Jackets descend upon our capital city. I understand that number is going to grow to hit potentially 70,000, which is just awesome, just incredible to think that that's 10% of your entire membership that will be here in our capital city over the next several days. And what makes me even more excited, even more stoked than that is watching this convention grow year after year and seeing how many of you, the next generation inheritors of our land, are getting plugged into this impactful and influential organizations and all the opportunities the ag bioscience sector offers. You know, I tried this last year. If you were here, you will remember, and it came out a little blurry. So I am going to try and do this again and take a quick selfie. I know you can dance, so if you would, maybe if you're in this general vicinity, if you could go a little crazy, if you could make a little noise, I'm going to take a selfie. Thank you for indulging me. You can follow me at @GovHolcomb. Check that picture out. That one is not blurry. I've just confirmed it. As much as we like taking selfies around here, hosting your convention is a lot more than a photo op for us. Being not just the host of this convention, but also the home of the FFA national headquarters is a real source of pride for every Hoosier. It's something that we work hard to make sure that we're aligned with, the same motivations, the same goals. It's also fitting that this organization calls on an annual basis now Indiana their second home. And it's fitting because for over 200 years, Hoosiers have found themselves on the forefront in terms of developing and inventing and innovating and transforming the ag biosciences community and the sector at how vast it is into this cutting edge 21st century industry that we find it today. We're also going global with our efforts. We're growing locally, but we're taking our story and our message and our expertise, exactly what comes out of conventions like you host here year after year globally. And we're becoming known for that at exactly the right time as the world, due to the pace and scale of technological advancements, increases. I had an opportunity to recently be in India and the good fortune to meet with their Prime Minister Modi. And this exact topic was of great interest to Prime Minister Modi. Remember, this is the guy that oversees the nation's largest democracy, 1.3 billion people. I was reminded over there that it'll be more tomorrow. Their birth rate, death rate's a little different than most states in the United States of America. And that's just accounting for the number of people where they know, that's the kind of give or take a few 100 million here or there. And he was genuinely encouraged and engaged, and his word was gladdened when we started to talk about you all, FFA, and what you stand for and what you are doing and the brain power that is amassed in this room here today and will be as it grows even larger in sessions hereafter. He even talked about getting some of his students over here, so maybe next year we'll have some international guests join us. Because the whole discussion was centered on what will come from this gathering, all the opportunities that will be before you that you will usher in to, in fact, change the world, how you will address food and water shortages and security, the expenses and nutrition. The list just goes on and on and on. We talked about the absolute need for international collaboration and the absolute need to solve problems and address our mutual challenges as fast as humanly possible. And that's the exact point I want to close on this afternoon, that you all literally have this world of opportunity before you. And through this exact organization, and by the way, the world is counting on you, and I, for one, am confident in you. Indeed, incredible opportunity awaits to save and improve the quality of lives of one person or 1 billion people or 9 billion people come 2050. And believe me, that time will be here before you know it. So no pressure, but you all are, quite frankly, the determiners of where each of our states, in fact, our nation will be in 10 or 20, 30 years from now. And that's why I am betting on you. So thank you all. God bless your efforts. Enjoy this convention. And please spend a lot of money while you're here. Thank you all. We love you. Have a great convention.
Just real quick. Thank you, Governor Holcomb, for your remarks to our membership here today. The role you play in promoting a brighter future for agriculture is apparent through your support and attendance here. Thank you for all you do to support our organization in the great state of Indiana.
Well, thank you for busting a move, Rich.
Proud to do it. Let's get one more round of applause for Governor Holcomb. Thank you, sir. We have a unique opportunity for FFA members to experience a special piece of FFA art and history this year at the 92nd National FFA Convention and Expo. Our iconic convention lectern has graced the main stage for decades, and it has a rich history just waiting to be told. It was originally constructed with wood sourced from each and every state association. At the conclusion of our opening sessions, make sure to stop by and capture your own unique memory with this convention icon, and maybe learn a little bit of history along the way by stopping by the FFA Experience booth in the National FFA Expo Hall H. Now, let's try this art on for size. Who would win in a rap battle? DJ Longlegs or Kanye West? What about Lil Boo or the Funky Shunky? Still Bomba. Tough choice. DJ Huge Banks or the Funky Shunky? My vote's on that one. Well, as the national officers contemplate our future rap careers, we have an even better performance in mind. Here for the first time, sponsored by Corteva Agriscience, and under the direction of Spencer White and Miss Christy Britton, make some noise for our National FFA Band and Chorus! Talk about making an entrance. We look forward to hearing more from our band and chorus throughout convention. Let's give them one more huge round of applause. Very nicely done. Now, earlier we talked about the beauty of combining art and sports. And I gotta ask, are there any baseball fans in the stadium? Very nice. Well, earlier this year, my teammate Laney and I were fortunate enough to get to attend a St. Louis Cardinal game. And, oh, we got some fans in the house! Well, by about the time we hit that 7th inning, we were in for a real surprise. More than just the peanuts and Cracker Jacks. But the beautiful music that filled the stadium from the organ. Now, we here at National FFA are extremely fortunate to have our very own organist and DJ, who combined will be providing entertainment and keeping us well stretched in those 7th inning moments. FFA members and guests, please join me in welcoming our National FFA organist, Mr. John Schutte. And I hope that you and your loved ones are up to date on your flu shots. Because we're going to be hearing some sick beats from our very own DJ, DJ Access!
Break it down, 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 break it
down. Thank you both for everything that you do to keep this show on the road. You know, when we really think about it, there are quite a few individuals and groups who combined keep this show rolling. This session would not be possible without the generous support of our friends at Merck Animal Health, who believe FFA members are the future of our industry, and that our bright minds will develop impactful innovations in animal science in the future. If you'd like to learn more about Merck Animal Health, or get you a sick pair of these sweet socks, come on, who wants a pair of these socks? Well, if you really want them and you want to learn something along the way, make sure and stop by the Merck booth in the Expo Hall. Let's get one huge round of applause for Merck Animal Health for their generous sponsorship. Now, just like paint on an artist's palette, we in FFA are extremely fortunate to have many unique and outstanding segments that, when combined, paint a clear picture of support for agricultural education. Our first segment is a group of volunteers. It's comprised of individual donors, alumni and supporters, and business leaders. The Council plays a key role in helping the National FFA Foundation identify and strengthen opportunities for financial support for FFA and agricultural education programs. FFA members and guests, please join me in recognizing the National FFA Individual Giving Council. Thank you all for everything that you do. And in that same spirit of paint on a palette, these next individuals bring their company's color scheme to the forefront of painting that brighter picture for the future of agriculture. During their term of service, board members play an integral role in helping the National FFA Foundation identify and strengthen corporate partnerships with other companies, industries, and organizations. Please join me in recognizing the National FFA Sponsors Board. Thank you for everything that you do for our organization. Now, I think it's important, and I think it should be mentioned, as we continue our little peruse through the art gallery, that art can be found every day in the world around us. How many of us would consider this next sound music to our ears? Oh, come on! Woo! You know, if you're anything like me, there is something extremely distinct and beautiful to a diesel engine firing up. That sound of rubber on the asphalt, oddly enough, the smell of an old shop. Well, as a longtime supporter, Firestone provides support not only to keep those engines running, but for the last 75 years, they have played a huge role in keeping our organization and this convention cruising steadily along. Joining us today to bring remarks on the 75-year partnership between Firestone and FFA, please join me in welcoming to the stage the president of Firestone Ag, Mr. Tony Orlando.
Thank you. Thank you. On this past Sunday here at Lucas Oil, the Indianapolis Colts beat the Denver Broncos on a last-second field goal in that end zone. The Colts fans wearing their blue jerseys were ecstatic. I didn't think that level of excitement could be matched. I was wrong. Now, 4 days later, here again at Lucas Oil, our FFA members wearing your corduroy blue jackets, and the excitement and the energy is incredible. Never underestimate the power of FFA. Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Tony Orlando, president of Firestone Ag, and I'm honored to be here today to talk about Firestone, our history, and our 75 years of partnership with the National FFA. To help understand why Firestone supports the FFA, it's important to share with you a bit about Harvey Firestone. In my current role as president, I am responsible for leading the North America agriculture tire business, and I feel particularly privileged to speak about Harvey and how he began this company in 1900. Harvey is best known as the founder of the Firestone Tire and Rubber Company. He was a fourth-generation farmer from Columbiana, Ohio, and like most family farmers, had a passion for agriculture from a very young age. He introduced the country and the world to the idea of the pneumatic farm tire, as well as the dismountable rim. In the age when road transportation was experiencing great innovation, the pneumatic tire and the dismountable rim enhanced the ride and eased the challenge of repairing tires. While those innovations began with automobiles, Harvey's roots in agriculture made him quickly realize how these innovations could help the American farmer. Harvey was quite successful early on. By 1910, just 10 years into business, the Firestone Tire and Rubber Company was manufacturing more than 1 million tires annually. And by 1926, Firestone was producing more than 10 million tires annually, which was nearly a quarter of all U.S. tire production. Today, Firestone Ag continues to be a leader and a brand and great brand of tires both on and off the farm. We're proud to have the #1 ag tire facility in the United States, located in Des Moines, Iowa, which produces tires for the American farmer, as well as ships to over 100 countries worldwide. We continue to bring new products to our customers, like our Maxi Traction line, the newest line of Firestone tires that we launched just this month. With the durability and reliability of Firestone tires, farmers are able to spend their time in the field where it counts most. Firestone tires are engineered to help farmers farm hard. It's important to note that while Harvey had a lasting impact on the farm and ag industry, one of his greatest achievements was the investment in students and future farmers. Harvey's dedication to innovation, education, and agriculture was passed down to his son, Leonard Firestone, who established and chaired the first corporate giving committee of FFA in 1944. This was instrumental in creating the support structure that helps FFA develop future agricultural leaders. We know that organizations like FFA are vital to moving our industry forward amongst generations to come. Together, FFA and Firestone carry the same conscious commitment to support the future of the industry. For us, this means continuing Harvey's legacy. Today, Firestone Ag supports FFA curriculum for agricultural science education courses and the organization's Agricultural Proficiency Awards as well. Firestone will continue to support the FFA for generations to come. It's just ingrained in the DNA of our business. This year, to commemorate our 75th year of supporting the organization, we launched the Rooted in Farming contest. This contest asks FFA members and alumni to share how their family's farm heritage was driven their passion for agriculture. The contest kicked off during FFA week in February, and for each contest entry, we donated $75 to the National FFA Foundation. The grand prize winner, Andrew Lauber, is a fifth-generation farmer and third-generation FFA member from Rockwell City, Iowa. Couldn't be prouder of him. We were proud, we were proud to read so many great stories from individuals who embody what it means to be a farmer and a member of FFA. Andrew shared that farming had taught him the importance of hard work, of community involvement, personal tenacity, time management, negotiation skills, and of course, a strong sense of land stewardship. Firestone's partnership with the FFA is instrumental in ensuring we encourage and prepare future leaders like Andrew and like all of you to act as champions and change makers for the industry. We look forward to another 75 years of helping the ag industry grow as we continue this great partnership. Because as students like you, we are confident in the future of agriculture. Thank you.
To honor this 75-year partnership, Firestone and FFA teamed up to host an art competition commemorating this historic achievement. 6 finalists were chosen and received grants for their local FFA chapter. The winner, receiving a $1,000 grant for their chapter and having their project on display at Firestone headquarters is, drumroll please, Jesse Shepard of the Spanish Fork FFA chapter in Utah. Let's take a look at Jesse's award-winning project.
Like a road that you travel on, one day here and the next day gone. Sometimes you bend, sometimes you stand, sometimes you turn your back to the wind. There's a world outside every darkened door where the blues won't haunt you anymore, where the brave are free and the lovers so will come ride with me to the distant shore. We won't hesitate, break down the garden gate. There's not much time left today. Life is a highway.
What do you say we meet the artist? Ladies and gentlemen, Jesse Shepard. Congratulations.
Nice job, Jesse.
There is power in working together. We in FFA are extremely grateful to have received the support of Firestone for our programs for the last 75 years. FFA members and guests, please join me in a huge round of applause for Jesse Shepard, Mr. Tony Orlando, and this historic partnership.
The National FFA said, we need to change, but how do you convince the FFA members who are all male to vote to allow females. And it came up for vote several times, and each time it was voted down. And finally, the FFA board of directors, they didn't know what to do. In '68, it came up for a vote again, and it failed by 7 votes. And then it was brought up again in '69, and it passed by 2 votes. And females were finally allowed membership in the FFA at the national level.
What proof we have seen of what the ladies contribute to the thinking and to the organization and to the work that FFA does. They bring common ground thinking, but they see some of the activity from a little different viewpoint. And I think the guys needed that. And as a result, FFA is a much stronger organization today, and you can demonstrate that by looking at the lady national officers we've had over the years. And so it was a long overdue move, but I'm finally glad the boys voted for the girls.
The chair will now entertain a motion to strike the word male from the Constitution.
Mr. Chair, it was the honorable delegate from California, Mr. Paul Bankhead, who made the motion back in 1969 to strike the word male from the National FFA Constitution, thus removing that as a requirement for membership. On that day, I was proud to second that motion. And I'm just as proud today to help celebrate this momentous occasion and accomplishment for our great national FFA convention. Thank you.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded, and following a more than 2/3 majority vote in the affirmative, we as an organization struck a word and forever changed the course of our history. To all the women seated in this stadium today, to those who are watching all across our nation, to the alumni who hung up her jacket but never hung up her experience, all female FFA members, past and present, are drivers in our organization, agriculture, and across industries throughout our nation. Since this motion passed, we have experienced exponential growth and progress as an organization and as individuals. Tonight, our team is extremely honored to be alongside these extraordinary women whose impact reaches beyond.
Until 1976, no woman had ever served as a national FFA officer. Miss Elin Miller was one of the first females to break this tradition by serving as a national officer in 1979. Today, she is a highly decorated agricultural management executive with over 30 years of senior leadership experience in the corporate, nonprofit, and government sectors. She has been a trailblazer for women in agriculture. Miss Elin Miller shows us what it means to have impact in FFA beyond the status quo.
For Dr. Misi Baker, FFA is a family affair. Her love and passion for FFA and agriculture stem from the dedication shown by her mother. She passed that same dedication on to her own daughter, who served as a state officer for the Pennsylvania FFA Association. She was the first female president of what we now know as the National Association of Agricultural Educators, and is currently the CEO of a company she started called Versant Strategies. Even though she was unable to be an FFA member during her time in high school, Dr. Misi Baker is part of a family legacy that shows how women can impact the FFA beyond their individual membership.
The FFA experience is only possible due to the efforts of passionate alumni and supporters. One such individual is Mrs. Belinda Chasen. At the state level, Mrs. Chasen served as the first female state FFA advisor and executive director for the Florida FFA Association. At the national level, she served as the first female elected member of the National FFA Board of Directors. Even though Mrs. Chasen says she's retired, she is still actively involved with the FFA and its members on a regular basis. Mrs. Belinda Chasen is an example of the impact that women in FFA can make beyond the blue jacket.
Almost exactly 2 years ago, Brianna Holbert forever changed the face of leadership in our organization. She serves as a figure of hope for students who had never before envisioned themselves as leaders in the FFA. Elected as the first female African-American National FFA officer, Bree was affirmed during her year of service of the importance of representation of all students within our programs. Today, she is a student at Chico State University, continues to be actively involved in FFA programs, and plans to one day be an agricultural educator. Brianna Holbert shows how women and FFA have an impact beyond what we can see.
Agriculture shapes society and provides the foundation for civilization. Dr. Joya Massa is a former FFA member from Florida who grew up during the space race and discovered the great unknown through her advisor who had worked at the Kennedy Space Center. Today, Dr. Massa is a botanist for NASA. She has led the science team in vegetable hardware validation on the International Space Station and now leads research on how to achieve a sustainable diet during space exploration. Dr. Joya Massa shows us how women in FFA have an impact beyond our world.
These women are but a few of the millions who are proud to associate with the blue and gold. One change to show that women do not only belong, but lead us beyond to extraordinary new heights. One decision to create a more diverse and stronger FFA. May we continue our mission of bringing everyone to the table, because we all belong in the blue and gold, and we are stronger together than we ever were apart. In honor of the strength and celebration of the occasion, please accept this gift on behalf of the National FFA organization. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in celebrating our past, but preparing for an even brighter future. Now, there are some forms of art which have stood the test of time. As an alumnus of this next group, I can confidently say that there's true beauty in bringing a bunch of different people together, 80 members to be exact, for one purpose: to perform. Sponsored by Corteva Agriscience and under the direction of Miss Christy Britton, let's hear it for our National FFA Chorus!
Hello, FFA. My name is Andrea Escher, and I'm from the land of 10,000 Lakes, Minnesota.
And my name's Colin Wilburn, and I am from the great Show Me State of Missouri.
At a time when the world feels filled with division, FFA members can be one of the reasons that the world comes together to create a better place.
We all know that love always wins. And with a little more happiness, anything is possible.
We proudly present Love Wins by Carrie Underwood, featuring soloist Chesney Jones from Texas
and Bailey Miller from Colorado.
Stray bullet in a mama cries. Her baby won't be coming home tonight. Sirens screaming down the avenue. Just another story on the evening news. Oh, whoa. Politics and prejudice. How did it ever come to this? When everybody's gotta pick a side. It don't matter if you're wrong or right, no. And so it goes. But I hold on to hope and I won't let go, 'cause I believe you and me are sisters and brothers, and I believe we're made to be here for each other, and we'll never fall if we walk hand in hand through a world that seems broken together again. I believe in the end. Sometimes it takes a lot of faith to keep believing there will come a day. The tears and the sadness, the pain and the hate, the struggle, the sadness will all fade away. I believe you and me are sisters and brothers, and I believe we're made to be here for each other, and we'll never fall if we walk hand in hand through a world that seems broken together again. I believe in the end. Love is power. Love is a smile. Love reaches out. Love is the remedy. Love is the answer. Love's an open door. Love is the only thing worth fighting for. I believe you and me are sisters and brothers, and I believe we're made to be here for each other. We'll never fall if we walk hand in hand through a world that seems broken together again. I believe in the end. Love will, love can, love still, love wins. Love will, love can, love still, love
Our next frame of art to view revolves around expressions. Miming is an art form that has been around for hundreds of years and is still around today. So in the spirit of expressing ourselves without using words, I need you to use your face and bodies and give me your best expressions for the following scenarios without using your words. So, show me your best expressions for when the person sitting next to you does not believe in using deodorant. Okay, what about this one? What about when the person sitting next to you is about to take the last piece of pizza? What about when the person sitting next to you is about to let you pet their dog? Oh. Well, our next speaker is not a mime, but he certainly knows and understands the power of expressions. His greatest ambitions in life are to love others, do stuff, and most importantly, spend time holding hands with his wife, Maria, and spend as much time as possible with their amazing kids. FFA members and guests, please join me in welcoming to the stage our keynote speaker, Mr. Bob Goff.
Hoppa! Wow. Hi, everybody. Wow, it's so good to be here. I'm just so glad to be among all of you as leaders. It's so good to see what you're doing with yourself, what you're thinking about in life. And what I hope to do is that we'll spend a little bit of time talking about who you want to be. Not just like what you've accomplished already, but who you want to be. There's a power that happens when you're in a community of people. And that's what I'm looking forward to this next couple days, to see what happens in a community. My name is Bob. I'm a lawyer, but I'm also a hugger, right? But so don't even try to shake hands, because we're going to hug, but not the creepy kind. You'll need a lawyer. But what I want you to know this, I see in this room nothing but hope. Nothing but anticipation. And God does his biggest stuff in community. There's a place, if you don't want to be with community, there's a place called Beaufort, Montana. Beaufort, Wyoming. Yeah, there's only one person that lives there. And that guy's thinking about moving. What I want you to do is think about what it is that you want to do. What is it that you want to do with this leadership that you have? I made a list of the things that I think each of us want. Your list might be longer, but it won't be any shorter. And it's this: love, purpose, connection, a couple authentic relationships. I hope that these next couple of days are days that you can actually talk to people about the things that matter to you, that you can have a conversation. You can go a little bit deeper than you normally would. And for me, I'm a man of faith. I know that faith isn't for everybody, but my faith has informed everything that I've done. There's a great verse, it's in Galatians, and it says this: the only thing that counts is faith expressed in love. And I think what I want you guys to do, whatever your faith tradition might be, or no faith tradition at all, but express yourself in love. I win arguments for a living as a lawyer, but I'm not trying to argue with anybody anymore. Because leadership doesn't get argued into. It's something that somebody just discovers because they find out that you're actually available. I write books every once in a while. There was this publisher that asked me if I would write a book. And I said, I don't know, will you build a school? I'll trade you one book for one school. And they said, well, how big's the school? And I said, all right, 1,200 child soldiers and 100 teachers. And they said, big school. I said, big book. And I made him pay me in advance. I didn't know if it'd be any good. And then there was a little bit of room on the last page of this book. And I said, could I put my cell phone number on the last page of the book? And you guys, there's 2 million people that have my cell phone number. And I don't send people to voicemail. Don't call me while I'm talking. I get 100 calls a day. It's crazy. I can't get a thing done. And what I'm learning is this: there's power in availability. What I want you to think about as you express your faith and love is just be available to people. But you know what? Availability means you're going to be constantly interrupted. That's a good thing. Let it come. Just be interrupted. Take the time during this next couple days to meet somebody else that has the jacket, that has the gold and blue. And to ask them a question, not just what's your name or where are you from, but to ask them, who are you? There's something, it's costly for availability. You know when you back your car up and you run into somebody and you're supposed to put your cell phone number? Well, there was a student at a university in Michigan that ran the car behind him in the parking lot. They didn't want to put their cell phone number, so they put mine. I had to buy that lady a fender. I'm like, whatever. Well, what I want to do is learn this stuff in the safety of a community. And here's the thing: God doesn't pass us messages, he gives us each other. You know who he gave to me 33 years ago? Sweet Maria Goff. We could not be more different. I get around you guys, I'm like, people! I'm like Tigger. She thinks having me in the room's a lot of people. She has what's called extreme social anxiety. And so she doesn't go anywhere. She's not here with me tonight. She's not anywhere. Because she's just like, it just would, she'd be on her back for a week. But here's the deal. I'm not trying to be like her, and she's not trying to be like me. We're trying to express our faith and love together, and we just do it differently. And you see me wearing this Red Sox hat? I'm not a Red Sox fan. Never even gone to a game. We evidently have a major league team in San Diego. Who would know? But my neighbor Carol was a huge Red Sox fan. And she got cancer. We knew she'd be dancing in heaven by the end of the week. And so we made a deal. I said, Carol, I'll wear your Red Sox hat for the rest of my life and represent the Sox here on earth. But in exchange, every time Jesus walks by you, you need to mention my name. There's a verse that said, I knew you not. I'm like, Carol, so know why you're doing what you're doing. I wear a mood ring. Isn't that crazy? I got it for $4 on eBay. Sweet Maria Goff, because she's kind of like sensitive, she has a little hummingbird heart. We don't talk about where I am. She doesn't know I'm in Indiana right now. Just didn't come up. But we talk about how I feel where I am. I'm telling you, if you want to be leaders, if you want to take people further, tell people how you feel. Ladies, if there's a guy dating you or wants to, say, I want you to wear a mood ring. And if he tells you I'm not into talking about my feelings, say, that's awesome, I'm not into you. See ya. One of the things that the rule in our marriage is this: 100% kindness, 0% drama. That's what makes junior high school so difficult, because it's 100% drama and 0% kindness sometimes. And what we've done to remind ourselves about the kind of people we want to be and what we're looking for, the impact we want to make, we want to remind ourselves of this childlike faith. I don't mean childish. I mean like the younger version of you. Before it started getting complicated, we got a puppy to teach us. Check out, this is our puppy. Check this out. Isn't that awesome? This isn't even slow motion. This is just how this dog rolls. Oh, I love this dog. But here's the deal. We've been trying to housebreak the dog. The only thing it's missed so far is the lawn. But I don't like this dog any less because it keeps messing up in my house. And I'll tell you, God doesn't think less of you because you keep messing up. I just want you to know that you're in a community of people, you're among friends here who are encouraging you. We had a daughter. Her name was Lindsay. And I told her, you know, guys are going to want to ask you out to the prom and all that. What I want you to do when the guy asks you out, ask them this: what's your definition of love? And because they're guys, they won't know. So send them home and say, go figure out what love is. And when you got it figured out, come back and tell me what you think it is. If they come back and tell you it's like butterflies, you can get that from bad pizza. Love is sacrifice and commitment. Say it with me. Love is sacrifice and commitment. One more time. Let them hear you outside. It's sacrifice and commitment. If you go back to your state, if you continue to lead in love, knowing the only thing that matters is faith expressed in love, but it evidences itself in sacrifice. It's commitment. That's why you're all here. You made the sacrifice to be together. Boy, use that time. But here's the thing about love. You can't game love. There's something about it. As soon as love has an agenda, it isn't love anymore. It's just another program. I want you as leaders to just know what the definition of love is and then not try to game it. There was a guy that had his eye on this girl, and so he wrote this note. He tried to game it a little bit. He said, you know I have a crush on you. Will you go to the prom? Yes or definitely yes? And she circled no. I love that. Just say no. What I want you to know is this. It's the answer to this question. What do you want? I don't care if you're in junior high school or you're in college. Figure out what you want and why you're doing what you're doing, and now you have a game. There's something about that, just figuring it out. There's a friend that was here a little while ago. His name is Ed Eason, and Ed was a young kid. He was just before junior high. He got a guitar, and he wanted to be on a stage someday. That was what he wanted. Well, he practiced. Ed Eason performed in this arena. He's the lead guitarist for Carrie Underwood. He's just this amazing guitarist. Well, when they came, he said, "Bob, do you want a ticket?" I'm like, "Yes." So I got to the door, and I was headed for, the bleachers, way up at the top. And the person stopped me, and they said, "This ticket will get you on the floor." I'm like, "Yes." So I got down to the floor with my ticket, and then they said, "This ticket will get you in the mosh pit." Not sure what it is, but I want to go. And so I went to the mosh pit, and then they said, "Bob, this ticket is all access. You can go anywhere. You can go into Carrie's bus if you want." Well, I'm like, yeah, it'd be creepy, but what I want you to know is that you guys have an all access pass. You don't have to wait for permission. Take your rightful plate as leaders. Know your purpose. Everybody has a plan. I want you to be the ones that know your purpose. And if you know what you want, if you know what the definition of love is, if it's about serving and expressing that in the communities that you're in, that's where it gets really good. Hey, you guys, I have a friend who's the voice of Disney. Is that a great gig or what? Like when it's time for the parade, he's like, "Time for the parade," and then he pieces out. This is what his business card says. "People believe what I tell them." I'm telling you, if you want to lead strong, if you want to express your faith and love, then let people believe what you say, and they'll believe what you say when they see what you do. I've been sitting in the audience over here watching people, keeping my eye on you guys. I think you're the ones that do what you say. And that's what I want you to remember as you're like growing into this, that you'd find times to reflect on who you want to be and what you want to be known for, and do that. I live for about 8 months of the year in San Diego. The other 4 months of the year, I live at the end of end of an inlet in Canada. My nearest neighbor is 10,000 square miles away. I feel like I should get the blue jacket, right? Because I grow my own food, all of it. We catch dinner in the streams. We make our electricity off a glacier on the property. It's crazy. The only time I go out to the city is to get Pop-Tarts. I love those things. Don't judge. Well, I don't get very many visitors, but this guy landed his helicopter in my front yard. And he ran out. He's like this tall on his tippy toes. He runs up to me and gives me a kiss on each cheek and says, "My name's Denny, and I'm a Frenchman." I'm like, "Evidently." He said, "Did you know on this glacier behind your house, there's a cave?" And I'm like, "Buddy, I've lived here for 25 years. I don't think there's a cave." And he said, "Do you want to go see it?" I've known Denny for 3 minutes. We're in the helicopter. What could possibly go wrong, right? So we fly up to the top of the glacier. We go through this little hole. And you guys, inside is a cave that goes for 2 miles. And what I want you to think about is this in leadership. I don't want you to spend your time on the top of the snow, making the snowmen. Say, "Look, isn't this a terrific thing?" I want you to go underneath the ice cap. I want you to understand why you're doing what you're doing. Understand your purpose, knowing that the only thing that matters is your faith, your love expressed. And I think there's something beautiful that we got to understand, that we can't fix it if we don't know what it is. Take that time. Find conversations with people that'll get you a little bit deeper. Don't just settle for the surface stuff anymore. And if you really want to grow in your communities, then take a genuine interest in the people around you. There's a great verse. This guy Paul is talking to his buddy Timothy. He says, "I don't have anybody like Timothy. He's a guy who takes a genuine interest in your welfare." Boy, FFA, let that be said of you, that you're the ones that just take an interest in the people around you. I've been seeing that. That's what I've been hearing. I've seen that in the awards you've given. Keep up the good work. It was a year and a half ago in Detroit, and a 18-wheeler was driving down the highway, and the guy saw on an overpass a young man who it looked like he was going to jump. I'm sure this guy with the 18-wheeler had places to go, but instead of continuing on, he parked his truck. He didn't just park his truck, he got on the radio and he called every single trucker going in either direction, told them what was going on. You know what they did? They all lined up their trucks under that overpass. And they said, if you're gonna fall, you're not gonna fall far. Let that be said of you, that you take such an interest in not only understanding what's going on in your life, but in other people's lives, that you'll take an interest in their welfare. You'll be there for them. That's something that happened to me. It changed everything. When I was 7 years old, this was little Bobby Goff, covered in freckles. I mean, they were everywhere. And there was a really mean person who used to call me Spot. And you guys, it just hurt my heart so much. I used to be in my bedroom with an eraser until I would bleed on my face. My parents were freaking out because they didn't know what was up. But I just hated my freckles. And then a person came along who took a genuine interest in me. They had a Sharpie pen, and they said, you reach out your arms. And I reached out my arms, and they said, you know what? If you connect these dots together, you could make giraffes. I was like, these things are awesome. It was one kind word from somebody, and you know what? You're the one to give the kind word. What we don't want to do is just spend our time, junior high, high school, just complying with whatever your parents had to say, but get under the ice cap and know why you're doing what you're doing. What I did is I spent my time complying, and then I went to college. Do you know what happened? That. It's like a happy Freddy Krueger, like, hi, can I eat you? I'm telling you, compliance isn't going to work. What it's going to do is us finding somebody who's hurting, and one kind word from you changes everything. I teach at Pepperdine Law School. Could you imagine me teaching at a top-tier law school? I'm like, everybody passes the bar. You get a car, you get a car, you get a car. But that isn't the only place I teach. I also teach here at San Quentin. I actually flew from San Quentin to get here. I took a red-eye last night. I teach a class on being clear with your message. And I have 400 guys in my class. And they've done some pretty bad things that have landed them in San Quentin for decades and decades. But one of the things that's true each time is just taking a genuine interest in them and seeing what it is that they're learning along the way. We did a bit of a caper with a warden of San Quentin. I was able to do a podcast in this guy's jail. We sat down and I let him know last night what his release date was. And then I let him know that instead of being paroled back to the city where he was in a gang, we're paroling him to San Diego. And then I let him know I'm hiring him. You guys, I don't know how this is going to work out. Either awesome or a train wreck. There's no in between. That's what it looks like. It's pulling in under the overpass. It's finding somebody who's hurting and answering the question, what do you want? Because if you don't know what you want, you'll be like this dog that goes and gets everything. And I don't want you to go get everything. I want you to figure out the one thing you want, which is to express your faith, express yourself in love. Go under the ice cap. There's a young guy that asked if he could go. We operate schools in Mogadishu and Afghanistan, all kinds of places. And this young guy asked, can I go with you? And I'm like, oh, buddy, heck no. You see, Tyler has dreadlocks, and they're down to his waist. He's been growing them for 17 years. And I said, buddy, if you step off the plane looking like that, we're both going to jail. So you know what Tyler did? He cut off his dreads. It looks like he works at IBM now. He was willing to do what it takes because he knew what he wanted. I want that to be said of you. That when people think of FAA, they don't just think of future farmers, they think of future leaders. Men and women that know what they want and they're willing to do what it takes to get what they want. There's a young guy, his name is Ivan. He came to our school in Uganda in the middle of a civil war that had been going on. You know what Ivan wanted more than anything else? He wanted to be an artist. This is Ivan. His parents had been lost in the war. He had nothing but that box. And inside the box, he didn't have a paintbrush. All he had was a spear and a bed sheet. And so do you know what Ivan did? He mixed the paints in his hands, and I brought with me what Ivan made for me with what he had. This is what Ivan made for me with a spear and a bed sheet. He used what he already had to get what he wanted. I want that to be you guys. What have you got? What you've got is a bunch of friends. You've got this community. You're not in Beaufort, Wyoming. You're right here. I want you to go underneath the ice cap and say, what do you want? And then I want you to use what you've got to get what you want. And then find those things in each other. Ask the questions that are the difficult questions to ask. I've been to Africa 50 times to see these kids and do these things. I never take them malaria meds. I mean, what are the chances? You guys, the last time I went, I got malaria. Nearly killed me. I went to the ICU for 2 weeks. You know the awesome part? I lost 30 pounds. My next book isn't even going to have words. It's just one mosquito, bite you in the head, all gone. It cost $140,000 to not die. It's so expensive. And I could have avoided it with a nickel pill and a half a glass of water. And some of the stuff that might be going on in your lives, if you go underneath the ice cap a little bit, you could avoid that easily. Find 1 or 2 people right here that during these evenings that you get to spend together to say, can I tell you what's really going on? I don't care what it looks like. I want to talk about what it is. With a group this big, there's some people in here that are really lonely. You know, you can feel like you're the only person in the room. And if that's you, will you find one person you could trust here to just say, I'm lonely? Maybe it's one of the parents or advisors that came with you. Have those kinds of authentic conversations, because that's leadership. And it takes sacrifice. It takes commitment. But it's a person who knows why they're doing what they're doing. They're willing to do what it takes, which is to have the conversation. And they use what they've got right now. And what you've got is each other. I told you that I live at the end of this inlet in Canada. I've been there for now 27 years. And it's just an amazing, beautiful place. We just are living off the land completely. I built this lodge. It took me 20 years to build this thing. Like log after log after log. It was finally done. We bring good guys and bad guys and undecided there. We'll bring people from other countries that are in civil conflicts with each other. It's just a safe place for them to come and have this conversation. Well, it was finally done. I hired 8 guys to spend 2 months up there putting one last coat of stain on it. They were there for 2 days, and they put some oily rags together. The rags spontaneously combusted, burnt to the ground. It's gone. And you know what? That happened to some of you. It was maybe your parents broke up, maybe there was something at school, maybe it was a friendship that was lost, and it all burnt down. I want to talk to you about leadership when it's hard. And there's something beautiful that happens. I stood at the edge of this thing with Sweet Maria. Everything had been erased, everything that we valued so much. And there was a person that came along and they used their words. But the words that we use, we need to be so careful in leadership. Your words just impact people so much. I spoke at an event a couple weeks ago. And when I was done, there was a woman that came up to me afterwards and said, "Are you a friend of Bill W's?" And I'm like, I was racking my brain because I knew a lot of people named Bill. It was a week later that I realized she was talking about one of the courageous people that founded Alcoholics Anonymous. She wanted to know if I was in recovery, but instead of putting me on the spot, she said, do you know who Bill W. was? Because she knew if I was in AA, I would have known who he was. That was such a beautiful, leaders like you reach up high. They don't put people in a corner, but they don't dodge the question. They ask the best way they can, the kindest way they can, they'll ask a question. I had a friend who lost a child as an infant. Just inexplicably, the daughter was gone. And there was a person that came up that was still trying to sort out their words, and she said, I know exactly how you feel. My dog died too. And I was just, my heart ached for this guy. And he took a breath, and he put his hand on his shoulder, and he said, tell me what your dog's name was. Isn't that beautiful? Instead of saying, how could you equate one with the other? How could you be so insensitive? He just said, tell me about your pain. And I think leaders like you do that. If we get under the ice cap, if we know why we're doing what we're doing, then all these beautiful things, your words matter. Use them this week with each other. Say, I don't want to just be on the surface. Tell me about your best day and your worst day. Tell me if you've ever felt alone. Tell me if you felt insecure. I'm fine after this whole malaria thing. You know what? Here, reach out your right hands. Everybody reach out your right hand. Is it pretty steady? Right? You could probably do Lasix with that thing. My right hand is really steady. You guys, after this malaria thing, my left hand, I've got this shimmy in it. I could whip eggs. I have no idea what's going on. And I was with a group of people back in Washington, D.C. They weren't getting along. Have you heard? I said, let's use our nice words. And we were all in a group, and they said, let's all hold hands. And you know what I did? I put my hands in my pockets. Do you know why? I didn't want them to think I was weak. I didn't want them to think that I was like nervous being around them. I've spent my whole life in leadership reaching out my right hand to people. And I think people like you that really want to lead well, that have gone under there, you'll reach out your weak hand. You'll say, man, I've got some stuff I'm working on too. Well, as Sweet Maria and I stood at the edge of this thing, a woman came up to us, and she's still working on her people skills a little bit. And she said, the reason God burned down your lodge is he wanted to show you his power. I wanted to scissor kick her in the neck. Like, what? I've seen a ladybug and been wowed. You didn't need to burn down my home. But here's the deal. I think that some difficulties will come your way and my way to remind us of his presence. And as you lean into leadership, you're going to face some headwinds along the way. What I want you to do is to say, I know what love is. It's going to involve sacrifice, it's going to involve commitment, and it's going to involve a community. Continue to return to each other at FFA. This is a beautiful community. I'm just so honored to be on the periphery of this thing. I got to wrap this up. Sweet Maria Goff won't fly with me. The only way in and out of this place is on a Beaver seaplane. Have you seen Beaver seaplanes? They take off and land on the water. They're awesome. Well, she won't fly with me. I mean, would you? I'm like that dog in Up, like squirrel, boom. But every year on our anniversary, we take one flight together. And so we flew to this mountain lake, and we had a soda pop, and we said, like, let's do this again. And we flew back to the lodge and landed at the dock, and she got out of the plane. She left a note behind. It said, meet me at the cabin. I'm like, yes. So I'm running to the cabin. I think this is going to be awesome. And you know what she'd done, you guys? She'd saved her wedding dress for 33 years. And she still fit it, and we got me in this jumbo tuxedo and kind of duct taped me in. And we renewed our vows. And you know what? All I could get out is this. Love with you has meant sacrifice and commitment. I think if we walk back into our communities, if you're willing to go underneath the ice cap for the next couple days to be authentic with people, that's where it'll be great. That's where your superpowers are going to lie, in your leadership. It won't be what you identify with. It isn't the blue and the gold. It's what happens when you guys are together. I'm going to close with this. But we have one thing in British Columbia you don't have a lot of where you live, and they're sea otters. They're everywhere. They're like Priuses. And the thing about sea otters is this: they all hold hands. We should be playing Sarah McLachlan music, don't you think? And you know why they hold hands? Because they don't want anybody to drift away. Would you do this? Would you grab a shoulder or a hand or whatever's not creepy? You'll know. Can we do this all around here? 25 or 30,000 FFA leaders. Could we just do this? Could we just, hang with me, could we just renew our vow? The kind of people that you're going to be are the people that express their faith and love. Thanks, you guys. God bless you. Thanks for letting me come.
Don't run off yet. Don't run off yet. We got a lot to do. Oh, my goodness. Thank you, Mr. Goff, for your remarks to our membership here today. Your mission to love others in order to create a better world, not only for ourselves, but for everyone, carries a resounding message with our membership. And we cannot thank you enough for your excitement and your energy and for sharing your talents and abilities with us here today.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bob Goff.
Come on, high five, bye.
I think we can all agree that art comes in many different forms. And I think we can gain a greater appreciation for each other when we realize that we all have different preferences. But every great performance needs a grand finale. So warm those vocal cords up and sing along. Let's make our own grand finale. What do you say? Go fishing in the dark, lying on our backs and counting the stars where the cool grass grows. Down by the river in the full moonlight, we'll be falling in love in the middle of the night, just moving slow. Staying the whole night through, feels so good to be with you and me, going fishing in the dark. Give yourselves a round of applause. Woo! Man, that was awesome. And y'all were even on key. Wow. Now, later on when this session's over and whatnot, we're going to be hearing a brand new FFA song. I would love it if you would bring that same energy and enthusiasm with you as we sing our new song. During this session, we were challenged to get outside of our comfort zones, take charge of our time here in Indianapolis, and change the world. Where much has been given, much will be expected. What will you do with all that this convention has to offer? Make sure to be right back here in these seats tomorrow at 2 p.m. for our second general session, where we'll be recognizing those chapters who have excelled in their homes, communities, and chapters, recognizing our outstanding FFA chapters. Also, we will recognize individuals who assist in our organization, developing and functioning. And finally, we will hear remarks from our Western Region Vice President, Mr. Shea Booster, as he delivers his retiring address. FFA members, we are the future. The world is ours for the making. We are empowered to overcome the difficulties we face. Whatever our passion is, whether it's doodling on a page or securing a place for our face on Mount Rushmore, we can create change. We can overcome big issues like feeding the rapidly growing world population. We can tackle the injustices we see in our schools, and we can help our neighbor. Let's be a generation of leaders who change the world.
Madam Secretary, Do you have a record of any further business which should now be transacted?
I have none, Mr. President.
Does any member know of any new or unfinished business which should properly come before this meeting? We are about to adjourn this session of the 92nd National FFA Convention and Expo. As we mingle with others, let us be diligent in labor, just in our dealings, courteous to everyone, and above all, honest and fair in the game of life. Fellow members and guests, join me in a salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I now declare this session adjourned.
Together we can, united forever, taking a stand as we celebrate each other.